It helps you understand what not to do, because in making mistakes and documenting the process that led to those mistakes, you know what not to do, how to do something you've done before better. So one, document your processes. Two, you must share with the world. So you cannot do all these things and have them and keep quiet. You can either choose, in sharing to the world, you can either share within your networks, or you can share on a more bigger general public scale. The choice is yours ultimately. But like I said in the previous, when I was talking about finding opportunities, in order to leverage these skill sets, you need to document your processes and share them with the world. And then what happens is, even in your sleep, figuratively, you can actually create anything within that space. And then one other advice I would give in doing this and leveraging your skill sets is that starting is always better than being perfect. Starting is always better than being perfect. If you do not start most times, you'll never get it right. Procrastination is something that a lot of people in the creative space, have. And it's not because, oh, they want to procrastinate. No, it's because many of us in the creative space, many of us in the tech space, we are perfectionists at heart. And we tend more often than not to want to wait for a final, finished, perfect idea or product before pushing it out to the general public, before pushing it out for testing, before pushing it out as the first draft. But I would advise otherwise. I would say, see, wherever you are, once you've gotten the basic frameworks in place, just start. You will find out that in doing so, and by documenting that process of starting, you either fail forward or you just do it perfectly well. But one thing is, the lessons you will learn from starting, rather than waiting to get things perfect, will be better than the lessons you will learn from waiting to get a perfect product or a perfect idea out there, and then never finding ways to make it better. That is what separates those that are excellent from those that just have a good marketable product or idea. And then you also, to leverage your skill sets, you also have to start looking at other areas around what you currently do. Let me take a graphics designer, for example. Oh, you're used to doing ads for people, you're used to doing, pamphlets, templates, and all those things. Have you thought of branching out into illustration? Have you thought of branching out into video? Have you thought of branching out into things like, creating templates for resumes, templates that you can actually sell at 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents online for resumes? Everybody's looking for a job. People just need ways to present these things better. You in the creative space, you have an opportunity to do this better than most people are doing it. Have you thought of creating branding kits? You look at certain brands are in need of a revamp, and then you create kits, you create designs that might suit their brand, and then make a pitch to them. I mean, you might make 10 pitches before one is chosen, but chances are that someone will see something good in what you've done and be willing to take advantage of it. Have you looked at doing e-courses? It could be something as small as a 10-page ebook, or as a video course in an area that you're very, very strong with. Have you thought of doing e-courses in those areas? Have you thought of doing checklists that you can post? So you see, everything that I'm saying now is on ways you can leverage those current skill sets that you have in the creative space, from influencer marketing to content calendars, design templates, to something like this. This virtual conference that we have currently, this workshop that we have currently, is one of the ways someone in the tech or creative space can actually leverage on their skill sets. Despite this, we also see people outside the spaces also doing things around there. You write copy for ads, you write copy for people, for things that they do. Have you thought of branching out into website copies, for instance? As a tech person, if you are currently building websites, have you looked at the amplification of your websites? Have you looked at the wider marketing space? How can I build my skill sets in the wider marketing space to help me take advantage of other opportunities that exist beyond just developing websites. If coding is your thing, have you thought of, okay, branching out into design? Because that's another way by which, and then you can also find jobs. For instance, especially now that I know a lot of people feel jobs are difficult to come by. How often do you leverage on platforms? Certain platforms like LinkedIn, which is the biggest professional platform for everyone. Or Creatively, there's a platform called Creatively. Creatively, as I put it, it's a LinkedIn for creatives. Have you considered, looking at a platform like that to help boost? You have creative platforms like Power to Fly. Power to Fly is a creative platform that is actually targeted at women. So what are you doing to take advantage of spaces like that? Are you just sitting back and waiting for the jobs to come and whining that, oh, there are no jobs, the economy is hard, this and that? No, just as you are, there are a lot of businesses out there who are totally unsure of what they want to do. It's left for people like to, what's the word? See how we can help to build or be more efficient, or if you say that, oh, we're forgetting about the business side. We have to be business people as much as we are creative people. We have to be business people as much as we are tech people. And then what you need to do then is, one, there's this joke that we used to have in the private sector then, and it was that the lazy person, if you choose to be lazy, nothing will come to you. If you choose to lean back, someone else will take your business. So you have to keep pushing. 4, you also have to set goals. Like I said at the start of our conversation, you need to be able to set a lot of goals, because if there are no objectives, then you cannot leverage on your skill sets. These objectives are either objectives that help expand your current course of business, or new objectives that you're looking at in the future. And then what you need to do is set indicators that will help you achieve those big goals. And then you need to create things that will constantly remind you of these goals. It's easy to forget goals. It's easy to forget that you have objectives, especially now when everyone is rushing or everyone is engrossed in the hustle, as for lack of a better word. You need to you need to find ways which you will always remember your goals. And then once again, like I said earlier in the day, you need to, more often than not, you must document your process. There's nothing as important for a creative person as documenting your process. The difference between the best in our field, like I said earlier, and those who just pass by, is that certain people have documented their process, and by practicing, by doing consistently, either paid work, volunteer work, collaborative work, they've been able to internalize those processes that they've documented. And by documenting, they've been able to find areas which they shouldn't venture into. They've been able to find things that they ought not to do. They've been able to find ways to do things better than every other person out there. And then one last word before we end, because I know that we have limited time, is that you need to be happy, or you need to be comfortable failing forward. As a creative person, you need to be very, very comfortable. A lot of creatives are afraid of. Many creatives I know are afraid of failure. when in fact, you should be comfortable failing. There's nothing wrong with failure. In fact, by failing forward, you put yourself above a whole lot of people. You're able to, you're able to create a space where you have broadened your worldview. For you as a creative, you've broadened your worldview. You can confidently say and predict, things within your space. You can confidently say things within industry out of your space, industry that you're into it, simply because you have to document your processes and step forward and fail forward. And then finally, seek out mentors, seek out the best in your field, seek out, people outside your field. What this helps you do is, it helps you also fast track your learning process. It helps you to fast track your knowledge gathering process. So you find out that you gather more knowledge within and outside your space, that you can actually, at some point, convert that into a revenue generating idea for other people or people within that space. So at this point, I think if you have questions from my own personal experience. So someone just asked me a question right now. That's in what ways have I documented my process, and has that helped me to become better? I would say yes. There are various ways by which you can actually document your processes, and this go from doing something little as having a diary. Your diary could be a voice note diary, or it could be a written diary. In doing this, what that does is every day you do something related to your work, you write it down. I say something, it's easier for you to remember things when you've written it down than when you just try to depend on, how will I put it? When you try to depend on the power of your brain to always remember. Two, you can also start by creating, for everything you do, every area of it that you work in, you can also try to create toolkits. So there's, for everyone who has ever worked with me as in the corporate world, within that creative space, within the brand marketing and communication space, the first thing I always say to everyone is how to write a press release. It's a press release 101 toolkit. And I do this because a lot of people see me and say, oh, Tega, you put together a press release in 10, 15 minutes. How come? And I say, oh, no, I can. And I try to make fun of it. And I say, I can write a press release in my sleep. But the truth is, I've just understood the hack of writing a press release by doing three things. By one, doing it consistently. Two, documenting the quick ways to write a press release in a way that is most effective for different areas, for different industries. and then for different regions. And then 3, by putting what I've put down in my process into practice. The more you do that, the more you're better off for it. So yes, it's helped me to become a better person. I say beyond my core skill sets in writing, I'm comfortably doing design, I'm comfortably doing strategy, I am comfortable doing video production and editing, I'm comfortable directing. And this is simply because in all those areas, I've taken my time to not only do them, but put this thing down. And I've shared, and people have also tried it. People have also put the ideas on how I can make this better. So it's made me a better person. I think I can see some other questions there. No. I mean, does that answer your question, Kev? Sorry, I can hear you, please. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to get some other questions. Some of the person who's asked. All right. I think there's no other question. Any other question before Tega leaves us today? Okay, Kev confirms you answered this question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So one thing I would also add is I'm also available if you can ask questions there. If you don't have any questions to ask here, you can always reach out to me via LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is my first name and my last name @Otega-Ogra, or any other social media platform. All my social media handles are the same, Otega-Ogra. You can always reach out to me. I'll be available to help answer your questions in the limited time I have. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you think, oh, I'm unreachable, also, like I said earlier during our conversation, look out for mentors in your field. Look out for those who are already playing in that space, and do not be embarrassed to ask. But one thing that you also need to understand in asking for mentorship, in asking for advice, in asking for help, is that you need to be clear and concise with your request. I see that a lot of creative people, we go into these rooms, we go into these requests with a chip on our shoulders. No, you really do not need that. Just go in and ask, be very clear. Imagine you had 1 minute to give a pitch about what you want. Will you dilly-dally, or will you just go straight to the point in a way that expresses what you want and then expect or hope for an answer? So for me, I would rather say you go in, you ask very concise, in clear terms, and then be consistent and persistent if you don't get an answer, and pushing for one.
Of asking right now, Mr. Otega-Ogra is saying you can reach him via LinkedIn @Otega-Ogra, yeah, and then asking any professional a question is like a big opportunity, so you should always see your questions you ask as you pitching whatever knowledge it is you really want to gain. So thank you so much, Mr. Otega-Ogra. It was an amazing session with you. I, for one, picked up one very important thing, and it is starting. You say it is better to start than to be perfect. And that is like a major challenge I have. Starting like is a very big problem for me, and then hearing that from you is actually a big push. So thank you so much.
Can I say something in terms of starting?
Yeah.
You find it difficult, you can find an accountability partner.
Okay.
You know, find someone who will always check up on you. Find someone with whom you always compare notes, and find someone who will not allow you to just let your ideas die because you're unwilling to start. An accountability partner can help greatly in you, you know, choosing whether to start or whether to keep procrastinating. So that is just a hack for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really good to have you. Okay, I think we've come to the end of the session with you. So got any last notes for us? Have you gotten any last notes for us?
Someone just asked a question that what are the career options for creative professionals in the corporate space? There are many, 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 many options. And I'll use myself as an example. I studied public health. And yes, and my first ever job was in the international development space. But I've always considered myself a creative art. And when I got into international development, like I said something in my talk, you need to consistently look for gaps and opportunities for yourself. I got there and I realized that a lot of work we were doing had to do with information, education, and communications. A lot of work we were doing had to do with working with other partners and everything. What did I simply do? I looked at it and I looked for ways by which, and I felt would sell the work we were doing best to our partners and our target audiences. And before you knew it, I created a newsletter. So I was doing the writing. I found someone that could help to do the designs, because if I had to do a design, it would take me hours and all that. I created the website. The newsletter was not only left to that, the newsletter was also used to push out, what do you call it? We also sent it out via emails. And then we also started the radio program. You might say, oh, that on the look of things, that might not be creative. But you see, creatives are expected to be creative in their thinking. You need to apply design thinking. You need to apply creative thinking to regular problems. When you start to see things like that, it's easier for you to be able to, you know, be more valuable in the corporate space. So I was referring to myself during my talk, and I said, see, as I am today, I can do strategy. I did not go to any school to learn strategy. I can do investor relations and investor communications, simply because I've looked at the framework of communications, the framework of branding that I do, and I've said, oh, how can I apply them to this space? And I've found ways to do that in every single place I've worked consistently. I'll give you another option. I'm sure we have all heard of Indani TV.
Indani, yes, we have.
Yes.
I have.
So I'll tell you the story of Indani. In 2009, GT Bank had an influx of, GT Bank used to be a bank for the high net worth individuals, very rich, and the 1%. And because of the bank, there was a banking industry shakeup. And in 2009, GT Bank, in about 18 months, had grown their customer base from about 390,000 customers to 2.9 million customers. Their 5-year plan did not plan for that, did not account for that. Mm-hmm. And as a creative person, as creative people, what did we say we need to do? We realized that all these people coming into the bank from banks like Intercontinental Bank and Oceanic Bank, they were looking for 1-minute service. Meanwhile, the GT Bank service was not a 1-minute service. It was comfortable service that might take you 3, 4, 5 minutes. So by virtue of those people coming into the bank, it presented a difficulty for the real guys, the high net worth guys who had always banked to the banks, to come into the banking house. As creatives, what did we think of? We came up with the idea of, can the bank move most of its transactions online for those people that will normally come into the bank, take a newspaper and read whilst you're doing it. So That was when internet banking really took off at GC Bank. How could we aid their going online? And then we started Indani in 2009. And what did we use it to do? We used it, it was basically a lifestyle magazine that they could get everything they wanted. Then there was no bandwidth to be running videos on websites and all that. The bandwidth in Nigeria was quite low. So it was a magazine with embedded videos, embedded audio, everything. And then there are also the readable pages and all that. And we sent it, we hosted it online, and people could go there, they could download, they could read and all that, all through the period. And that was the birth of Indani TV. As a creative person, and today every bank is having there's Red TV, there's Accelerate TV, but it started from that simple idea to help our high net worth customers not feel the impact of being pushed out of the bank or the crowded banking halls at that point in time, because there were crowds. Sometimes you see the queues outside on the road. So as a creative person, there's always opportunities for you in the entire sphere of corporate, whether it's in business process reengineering, HR, always a space for someone in the creative space there. You need to look at the opportunities there. You need to look at the gap and see how you can apply yourself. And don't be afraid. You can look at any company out there that currently has those gaps. Articulate your ideas into something and push it out to them. Go to meet them. Fail forward. I've had at least 2 of my staff work with me from just bringing ideas and coming into my office. There was a lady that consistently came for 3 months before I even looked at her idea. Today, she's she works with me. So you need to consistently push, be persistent, look for gaps, articulate those gaps, articulate your solutions to those gaps, test them, and be persistent in pushing them. Someone will hear you.
Awesomely said. Awesomely said. Thank you so much. It was amazing having you. And we've learned, I don't want to say more than enough. We've learned so much, and we can't even wait to have more of you. So to reach Mr. Ortega Ogra, you can get through to him on LinkedIn at Ortega Ogra. So someone asked, what is your take in going for a master's degree or PhD as a creative professional?
What are your goals as a creative professional? Your goals, your objectives determine what kind of additional learning or instruction you need. I would say it for a fact, I do not have a master's. But I also can comfortably say I'm at the top of my field and I've gotten there faster than 99% of the people, at least within the sub-Saharan African region. You understand? So rather than going for a master's, I chose, to work in certain spaces. I chose to develop my skill sets in those spaces because nothing also beats experience. And then whilst I was doing my own main job, I was also consulting in different fields, in different industries. So the knowledge I've learned from all those things, and I also read voraciously. If you can't read, if you find it difficult to copy a book and read, knowledge you can look at, read material that around the space that you're already playing. It's very important. What is the opportunity cost of MPD? The network or a master's, the net gain from doing those things, which stay with you for your entire life. But then if you also are very articulate about your process, the process of you being the best creative that you can be, then you'll also find ways to build that network. You'll find ways to articulate, to what's the word? To hone the current network and then expand on it. That, for me, that's the most important thing. But the opportunity cost of not going for a master's, I really, or a PhD, this is not me saying it's important, but then you need to say, how does it fit into my entire plan? Have a plan and then fit it in. Going for that also helps you to it gives you more money. I'm not going to lie. Right off the bat, coming out with a master's or a PhD, there's a minimum expectation in terms of earnings, in terms of billings, whether you're in the corporate world or in the entrepreneurial space, that you want to charge, because you've already costed all the instruction that you've received in a formal institution of learning, and it also plays a role in the value that you're offering to your clients. So you have to weigh it. Are you willing to spend some time going for additional classroom instruction, or are you willing to use that same time to actively seek out opportunities for you to build yourself as a creative? Whichever one you go to, just be ready to take responsibility for the outcomes at the end of the day. That's what it means by failing forward. You have to be accountable for whatever actions that you take. But say there's nothing wrong in not going, neither is anything wrong in going for one.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it still falls back to you knowing what you want.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of this session. I know we want to spend more time together, but we've come to the end of this session, and it was amazing and awesome having you live with us. Okay, so we're going to be having Ayodele Elegba next. So Ayodele Elegba, fondly known as the Dream Maker among Nigeria's comic animation industry insiders, is a seasoned veteran in the Nigerian comic and animation industry. He began his comic career as a writer in 1999. I think I was just entering primary school at the time. After a brief stint in the Nigerian TV and movie industry, and has since gone on to create many of the successful comic titles and characters like Strike Guard, Vantage, Boxers, Jinx, Central Attack, Voyager, and so on in Nigeria. He's also the producer and director of various highly acclaimed short films, that's animations such as Lost Dreams, Strike Guard, Voyager, and many more. He has also been the brains, both producer and directing of production of several television animated series such as When I Grew Up, Area Daddy, and Rolly Tales Animation. Elegba founded the Lagos Comic Convention in 2012 with an attendance strength of 300, coordinating and inspiring a dedicated team. He has also grown the event to a gathering of over 4,000 gigs in 2017. The event is currently tagged widely as the biggest gig pop culture festival in Africa, serving as both an umbrella and a launch pad for the diverse and immensely talented players in Nigerian comics and animation industry. Elegba is also the president of the Association of Comic Makers of Nigeria, a body that seeks to promote the interest of Nigerian comic creators all over the globe. Ayodele has given several talks and presentations all over the world on comics, animation, and his passion to see young talent in the creative space drives him daily to mentor hundreds across various platforms annually. He is the founder and managing director of Spoof. I think most of us know Spoof Animation, a leading animation and content producer in comics and animation in Nigeria, which he founded in the year 2005. It is an honor having you here, sir. I am Sandra Adege. So I welcome you to Drive Conference 2.0 2020.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. How do I pronounce your name? Is this Sanjay?
Oh, Sandra.
Sandra, okay.
Yes, sir.
Sandra.
So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Adeogun Ademola, my humble boss.
Okay, all right.
All right. Okay, Sandra. Thank you so much for handling that beautiful session. I really appreciate you. So, Mr. Ayodele Elegba has
I was just enjoying Sandra's face.
I can imagine. I can imagine. All right. Okay. So this session is going to be a bit very engaging and proactive. So please, I want everybody, if you have any question for Mr. Ayodele Elegba, you've heard his profile. So please let us state it right here, right now. So this is going to be more of chit chat session with Ayodele Elegba. He specifically told us that it will be more engaging if we chit chat with him. So please, as this session is going on, let us drop our questions in the Q&A session as I have a chit chat with Mr. Ayodele Elegba. So Mr. Ayodele Elegba is one of the leading one of the leaders or one of the leading animated studio in Nigeria, and they produce one of the top rated comics that we have. Now, a lot of us in this place that are creative professional all agree with me that at one point in time in our secondary school days, we used to draw Voltron Force, Power Rangers, and all that. So a lot of us have had the comic experience, you understand? But they took it a touch notch further by creating those comics into reality. You understand what I'm saying right now? So please, if you have any questions, let us drop it. So Mr. Ayodele Elegba, the first question I want to ask you is that what your media house, Spoof Media, which houses what spoof animation and other production outfits. I heard that you guys are even going to 3D in 2021. You understand what I'm saying right now? The first question I want to ask you is that if I want to create a comic as a young lad in secondary school, I have a vision of having a comic. I've been doing a lot of drawing. What are the step-by-step processes of how I can create a comic that will be printed in Nigeria, from the design to the storyboarding to the principle and to the printing? Can you explain step-by-step processes of how I can create those comic and also publish it and even go as far as taking it to the next level when it comes to sales? What are those step-by-step processes, sir?
Okay, well, if you are still in secondary school, I'll advise you not to even bother.
All right.
My advice for you if you're still in secondary school is, I would say, look, just go ahead and finish secondary school. And then after you finish secondary school, try and look for a production house like Spoof that you can intern with, or find a mentor somewhere to train you and to get you better. Okay. The reason why I said this is, when I began comic book, I remember my first comic book was in secondary school actually, and I think I was in SS1 or thereabout. And while I was there, I had this idea for a comic book. I've watched all manner of stuff, like you said, Voltron, all the Marvel and DC comic books that you have. So
Spider-Man, Batman.
Spider-Man, Hulk, Batman, yes, so many of them. So I wanted that dream to come to pass. I just wanted to come out and do something. Then I used to draw. I also have story ideas as well. So but what I realized over time is that many young people, because they can draw, they believe that automatically makes you a creator. You are not a creator because you can draw. You're a creator because you can create. Not everybody that can draw can create. Okay, and from my experience, I realized that most artists are more like they're like guns. So they're like guns. And a gun needs a trigger. You need a trigger to pull it to shoot. Without a trigger, you can't shoot. So, if you're an artist and you're in secondary school, I would advise you to ask yourself: am I actually a creator? Okay. Or am I just a copy and paste, meaning you see a Spider-Man and then you copy that idea and you now redraw it? Such ideas don't go far because everybody has seen Spider-Man before, everybody has seen Hulk before. So if your creation looks too similar to those things that people already know, people see you as a rip-off, and nobody would actually want to pay you original money to buy those stuff. They would rather buy the original. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, am I a creator? Okay. If you are a creator, then you begin to create your ideas and create your stories. Now, the other part is that, many people are creators, but they don't have that skill set to go into the other aspects because, the mistake also I've found over and over is that, when you meet someone, he just says, I'm an artist, I'm a comic publisher, I'm a comic creator, and he believes that he can do everything. Okay. But in comics, there are several departments of comic books. Okay. you know, you have the creator, that is the person who creates the idea. For example, I created a concept called Strike Guard. You know, it was a concept I had while I was in the turmoil of my life and I was struggling with my inner demons. So I told myself, Ayo, why can't you come up with a concept about a young lad in university who's struggling with his inner demons? Okay, but to make it more fantastic, and that's one thing again, a comic is fantastic. You know, comics are not boring. You don't wake up and say you want to do a comic that's boring. The reason why you do a comic book is because it's fantastic. You want people to leave the world they are in currently and travel to another dimension. Okay, so I said, okay, instead of just making him struggle with internal demons, why don't I give life to that internal demon? And I created another character called Ajagbeja, who is an ancient demigod from the Yoruba race that came to the modern world and embodies inside of Abolaji Koka. So together, when Ajagbeja is inside Abolaji, they become the hero called Strike Guard. And of course, he wears spandex and then he's flying and it's fantastic. You know, in spoof comics, we say we make fantastical comics because we don't make comics that are boring. We make comics that are fantastic, for comics that take you out of the world. So you need to understand that there are different departments in comics. You have the creator, who is the one that creates the idea, just like I've created Strike Guard. You need the writer. Now, there's a short demand of writers currently in this country. Okay, there's a short demand of writers in this country, or let me use the word, there is a short demand of storytellers in this country. We have writers, we have a lot of writers, but we have very few storytellers. Okay, and that's why coming next year, January, or even by next month, we'll be launching our academy. It's going to be an academy where you can learn comics, animation, and storytelling.
So please, viewers, take note of that, please. They are launching their academy next week. Next year.
You can see I'm branching into so many things just for one question. Exactly. I like that. You know, so I believe people can catch so many things from this one statement I'm saying. So permit me to talk wide so I can really expatiate. So you have the creator, you have the storyteller or writer. Now, what the writer does is it takes the idea of, I was just talking with somebody last week. The person wants us to do an animated series for her. And then we got talking and it was very interesting. And then she asked me to write the story. I wrote the story and then we almost got into a kind of argument because she had some ideas of what she wanted. But those ideas, even though they were great, because of my 20 years experience in this field, I know that not every idea sells. And that's the mistake many people make. They just wake up in the morning because they're in the bathroom and they had a lovely idea that is good to them. They feel it has to be a comic book. Not every idea that is good in the bathroom should be published as a comic book. There's a whole lot of money that you spend to print an average comic book. Roughly, you spend 300,000 if you don't have a team working on it. If you're going to employ people to work from different fields, that's about 300,000 just for one comic book of 21 pages. Now imagine spending all that money and then nobody wants to buy a copy. So you need the writer or the storyteller, someone who can actually bring your idea and format it in a way whereby the audience are used to and the audience can read. Then once you've passed that level, the writer loves the script, it's well written. Now let me say that the way you write a comic script is different from the way you write a movie script, is different from the way you write an animation script. These are things we'll be teaching in the school. You know, once you come from that class, you'll be learning all these three things. Now, once you get the person who has written the script, that's formatted it in a way whereby, wow, it is good for comics. I repeat, good for comics. Okay, it has to be good for comics. Okay, obeying the laws of suspense, obeying the laws of storytelling, page turning, because when you write in comics, you write in a particular way whereby each page ends in a page turn. Okay, then you now go to the artist, whether you're employing the artist or contracting the artist, and say, look, artist, please come. I have this script. Can you help me draw it? So the artist now takes the script and now transforms it from written word into pencils and ink. Okay, some artists can actually do both pencils and ink, while some artists will do the pencil first, then you have to go and pay somebody else to do the inking. Okay, so when you leave that stage, you now move on to the colorist. You are making comic book. There's a way you also draw your comic books. Don't just draw comic books anyhow. There's some comic books there are some art styles that will make your comic book sell to kids. There's some art styles that will never make a kid to pick up your comic book. So you need to understand that this comic book, what target audience is it for? What kind of inking am I going to use? Is it going to be deep inking or soft inking? Is it going to be rough art or very detailed or light art? Okay, so once you finish that, you now call on your digital painter who now colors it up. The guy colors it up. Once again, your colorist needs to know the target audience. The colors for kids is different from the colors for adults. Okay, and once the colorist has done his magic and is looking poppy, then you take it to the graphics department. And I think that's where I know they want to do a lot of lovely graphics, you know. Then you go in, you put in the words, you put in the graphics, the name pops out, Dreammaker Comics presents, you know, it's coming out, everybody loves it. And then this is where many people end. And this is why many comic publishers have died. In my career, I've seen comic publishing firms come up and die like that, you know. And because I also organize Lagos Comic Con, it saddens me that every year I realize that the publisher that came last year probably won't be around this year because the company has phased out. And the main reason is this: many people make comic books without understanding that comic is a business. It's not passion. It's not something you have in your bathroom. It's business. And if you do not understand that, if you can't make sales, you're not in business. So you have to make sales. And that's the last port of call for making comic books. So I hope I've been able to explain and expound on, you know, the aspects, the different aspects of making comic books.
Wow. Comic is actually wider than the experience. I mean, the experience that we have. And I think hearing the processes and the stages and the phases that goes through comic even make us appreciate it better. Because, you know, I'm a fan of spoof animation work. My favorite character that you guys have created is Boxer. You get what I'm saying right now. And the reason why I relate with Boxer is because he's a Nigerian area boy. You get what I'm saying right now. So to me, he's like our Spider-Man has come to relatable, how relatable it is to our day-to-day activity. So that's why I like him. I'm sure a lot of people like some ladies might like Jinx. And some other character, I like Boxer. So please ensure that you Google spoof animation so you can be part of this experience. So some people are asking some crucial questions. Before I ask my other questions, I think we need to delve into some of the questions that we have by people here. So the first question, which was asked by an anonymous attendee, is that what is comic animation well known in Nigeria? Is comic animation well known in Nigeria? What's your answer to that, sir?
I'll say yes, you know, because with the advent of Lagos Comic Con coming to the industry 9 years ago, comics have become like very popular. Okay, then animation also after a while became very popular as well. So yes, the truth is comics and animation, they are quite popular. Okay, they are quite popular. There's no one that would say he has never read a comic book before. Okay, maybe you've not read a Nigerian comic book before, but definitely you read a foreign comic book before. So, but like I said, the problem has always been distribution. And if you want to go into comic books, you need to find out how you want to take care of your distribution. Because without distribution, you would find out that you don't have a business. And in a short while, you just run out of money and then you stop what you love to do. So, but I think the challenge that many people have when they talk about comics is that maybe they say they don't see it in the bookshops, they don't see it in the newspaper stands, they don't see it, you know, everywhere, you know, and that's because the printing business is becoming very, very challenging. Like, you know, even newspapers are not selling as many copies as they used to anymore, and that's why even newspapers are going digital. Everybody's going digital. Every week I try to go to Punch newspaper online and just read. I've never bought a newspaper in my life, physical copy, but I I always read, online. So that's what many of us have done. We've taken our comics online. So if you are not really connected to maybe spoof comics, you can never really see our comics everywhere because you have to go to the website, go to where we are selling the comic books, and all that. So many people also go to Amazon. They have different comic platforms that sell comic books. So you can get many Nigerian comic books from those platforms as well.
All right, okay, beautiful. So please, if you are a comic lover in Nigeria, please, enough of you buying Naruto latest animation, or you downloading Spider-Man latest edition, DC Comics latest edition. We have comic studios in Nigeria like Spoof Animation and some other wonderful, amazing comic studios within Nigeria. So I'm going to ask another question before I now move to my own question. So Jolayemi Oluwaferomi is asking a question. He says, how is graphic design related to comics? I know you've answered that earlier, but can you just buttress on that? How is graphic design related to comics?
Well, I think graphic design is very related to comics because graphics has to do with colors, has to do with, those rules of graphics now. I can't remember all of them, but there's a way you lay out and all those things. So graphics is good, but for you to really delve fully into comics, you need to know how to draw. Okay, you need to know how to draw. I have a couple of people who have come in as graphic artists, and they are it's easy to teach them digital painting because they understand colors already. So teaching them digital painting is very easy, But where graphics actually comes in a lot is where the lettering. When in comics you see thought bubbles coming out, the words coming out. So that's a graphic artist that does that. The covers, the editorial page, that's graphics. The layouts, you're converting it for press. The graphic artist does that. So the graphic artist is like the editor when it comes to animation. The animation you have the editor, but in comics you have the graphic artist who does the final layout. He paginates it, the pagination, the numbering, all those things. He gives it all the lovely stuff that you see. So graphics is also very important. It's the last pot of call, but it's the most important because without the graphics, okay, for example, I was watching. There's an animation. Sorry to say, there's an animation film coming out very soon, and I saw the poster of the animation, and the poster was not engaging at all. And I was like, how much would it cost you to just pay a graphic artist to just do the graphics for you? Because let me tell you the truth, many people don't go and watch the movie because of just that graphics, just because of the poster. The film might be good, but the poster already saying this looks cheap. This looks like it's not something I want to be part of. And that's why graphics is very important for comics. Because when you see a comic book, boom, boom, the logo comes out, it's smashing, the colors, the layout, the way the letters are, not bleeding towards the edges. This person knows graphics and how this is lovely, it's popping out and you want to buy the comic book. So graphics is very important. And we actually need graphic artists in every aspect, whether it's in filmmaking. There are some films that it's the posters that are just killing them. It's not as if the movie is good, but the posters just turns you off. Either because there are too many people on the posters or the fonts that are used are just terrible and so much. So the graphics is also very important. So if you're a graphic artist, you can, have a retainership, maybe comic studios or movie houses or even animation studios to that'll be your own pod. I remember one of my friends and mentors, I don't know whether you know him, Abinibi, he's a graphic. Abinibi was.
We know Abinibi.
Yes, he was making money just doing posters for movie people because his posters were always on point, and because of his posters, you want to watch the film. So graphics is very important. It's very, very important. So if you're into the graphics aspects of all these things, please stay there and keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So please, let's all drop our questions in the comment section while I ask him on the one or two other questions as we proceed. So I'm sure that this session will not be complete until I ask you this. How soon are we going to start seeing in Nigeria some of our animated series, either as 3D animations or as movies? Are you getting me now? Because I know that the animation industry in Nigeria is not yet as evolved as some of the big names out there, where we now have the likes of Avengers, we have the likes of the DC battles between themselves. You understand what I'm saying right now? How soon? Because I also know that you also produce movies. You have a movie that is out right now at the moment. You understand? And you are into animation. You understand what I'm saying right now? So how soon are we going to see spoof transiting from, so I know a spoof animation have transited from comics to 2D animation. So how soon are you going to transit to 3D? And how soon are we going to start seeing Boxer, Lady Jinx, Strike Guard on our TV screens or even our cartoons? Because sincerely speaking, I was sincere with yourself. Our kids are already used to Nickelodeon. They are too used to PJ Masks. It's high time we start seeing Nigerian animated, as in like everybody's longing for it right now. Because you and I know that one thing in the animation industry is that what people sell culture. You understand, sir? In the when we watch foreign animation, they sell foreign culture. But it's high time we start seeing animations where we are hearing Oshodio. You understand what I'm saying? Right? In the Nigerian market, and for viewers abroad, how soon are we going to start seeing that on TVC, on our local stations, or on DSTV? How soon, sir? I know it's expensive, but at least.
Okay, let me say that. Sorry to say this, but your local stations are terrible, terrible people. I don't want to start. I don't even want to start.
Right,
that's why for me, spoof animations, spoof comics, we are a global company. We're a global company. We don't see ourselves as a Nigerian company. In fact, we like to see ourselves as a multinational company. We're a company that services the world. Okay, and you mentioned something about us in our culture, that the Western world, they show us our culture. You see, the truth is that the Western culture are not actually showing you their culture. And I think that's the mistake we keep. I hear this a lot, you know. When I even say our Nigerian culture, when we say Nigerian culture, the Western world does not really sell you their culture. They're just telling you a story that is based in their country. They are not out to sell culture, and and I think that's where we get it wrong, because many times when I see people trying to do animation or trying to do an animation movie or animation comic, they are so much after the culture that they forget that it's storytelling. You see, the truth is that when you watch Avengers or when you watch the movies, you know, when you go to cinema, honestly speaking, you don't care about any culture. You're just watching the film and it's interesting and you enjoy what you're seeing. Okay, so me, I don't write stories to pander for culture. Okay? If there's a storyline that is based in a rural area and it fits my story, I will tell it. Okay. If there's a story that needs that somebody should be in a bus or ride an Okada or whatever, or speak in vernacular, I will do that. But I don't wake up in the morning saying I want to do a comic or an animation because of culture. Okay. I just wanted to clear that out, and because it's a serious problem that we have. Many of us we think that once you put someone that wears agbada or someone that wears zero, then automatically everybody jumps at it and likes it. No, you know, everybody in Nigeria may jump at it and like it, but not everybody abroad will jump at it and like it. Now, I don't know if you watched our animation, our 8 minutes teaser pilot animation, Hero Call.
Yeah, I did so.
Hero Call is loved by everybody, okay? It's loved by everybody. I showed it to my French friends, they liked it. My American friends, they loved it. When you watch Hero Call, maybe play it to our audience later on. When you watch Hero Call, do you feel like these guys are trying to sell culture? They are not.
No. The first time from space.
Exactly.
Then it comes down. Then it comes down to Nigeria.
It comes down. Yeah. But it's just that I was telling that story in a country called Nigeria, where we have Agberu, we have yellow and black buses. It's not as if I brought in the yellow and black buses as a must, you know. It was just part of my story. So once you think like that, you're able to come out with stories that transcend the Nigerian locale, okay? And I want to beg you, please, at this stage you are right now, whoever is listening to me, your competition is not Nigeria. Your competition is global. If you have been to Fiverr, you know that your competition is not Nigeria. Your competition is global. There are people who are taking your clients and they are not in this country. So the earlier we begin to think that we're not fighting against ourselves here, the people that, see, Indians are taking the animation industry. They've taken all the jobs of Americans. Most animations in America now are being done in India, you know, because they understand that, look, it's all about cost. It's all about having that stuff. So you should understand that. So anything that you are doing from here, you should understand that you are trying to do it for the international market. That's what we do. Now, do we have stuff on our TV? Currently, we have one of our TV, our animation series on TV. It's called Pineapple TV. Pineapple TV acquired one of our content last year and is doing very well. It did so well that they are renewing it for a second season this year. When I say renewing them, they are paying us to show it again this year. That's another avenue of making money from animation. So I don't know if I've missed any part of your question. Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
So
how soon are we going to see that transition into movies?
Okay,
well, we are seeing some already.
We are seeing some already, yeah. But one of the things I've been trying to do for the past 2 years, I think I spoke about it in Drive Conference. I have this idea of how, we've seen Spider-Man jump out from the comic books and become an animation and become a movie. I want to do that too. I want to do that with Spoof. So one thing we've been able to do is we've been able to secure a deal whereby one of our comic titles, which is Boxer That You Love, has just been acquired. Yes. Boxer was so good, they liked it so much that it's going to be acquired into a TV series, for a major network, a major TV network. So very soon, I think the announcement will be made very soon, and then, I can talk more publicly about it.
So you're hearing that exclusively here, exclusive news from Drive Conference.
Exactly.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
It's going to very soon. You'll be seeing some very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, because it's good that we're beginning to know that. Sincerely speaking, I've had a conversation with friends, with mothers that are beginning to get uncomfortable with some of the storytelling by the foreign markets. You understand? But some of them will go as far as censoring some particular production abroad. But I believe that they will be more comfortable if the content are from here, because we have a strong cultural background, especially when it comes to what's raising children, and strong cultural ideology. All right, so I'm going to move to the next question. So Folu Akileye is asking something similar to what we just asked, but to help you buttress your point. He says, as largely viewed as largely viewed as comic animation movies are in Nigeria, over 90% of comic movies are produced by foreigners. Is there any special constraints, hindrance, that is not causing animation to strive, our own animation to strive? So she's saying that 90% of most comics and movie production are done by foreigners. So is there any constraints that is stopping our own animation not to strive in Nigeria? What are the constraints?
The major constraint is financing. It's financing. To do a 2D animation movie, if Spoof is going to do a 2D animation movie, you probably spend between 50 million to 80 million naira. Yeah, for a movie. Okay. I was speaking with the acquisition manager of Film One some time ago, and he was saying that, hey, there's a market for it. People want to watch animation on cinemas. They are ready for it, But the problem is, how many movies actually make that amount of money in the cinemas? Okay, so there's no investor that will give you 50 million to go and do an animation series that is one bang that will compete with anything that Marvel has done. We can do it in Spoof. It's possible. We know we can do it. Okay, but for you to do that, you need to put people at work, you need to pay salaries, you need to get more hands to do this work so that we can finish it at a very good time. Now, the other thing is skill. See, there's a challenge going on right now in our industry. And in the beginning, it was good, but gradually it's kind of becoming kind of funny. And that's the problem of skill, acquisition of skill. The internet is good, and people are learning so many stuff online, okay? But the problem with learning stuff online is learning stuff online kind of gives you this independent way of looking at life, okay? Because you're alone with your computer, you learned it alone, you watch the video, you watch the tutorial, you feel you are your own man, you are your own person. And what happens is that many people who actually do those kind of training, the next thing that comes to their mind is they want to set up their own company. Honestly, I'm getting tired of that, because we have so many CEOs who are not overseeing anything. They are broke, they are not going anywhere, they are hungry, and they don't have the humility to just go and work for someone. The reason why India is doing very well with their studios, with the animation industry, is because they have a service culture. They have this culture of, I want to go and work for someone. Okay, I was talking to an Indian friend this lately, and he told me the amount of staff that are in his company, about 400 people. Now, this same studio are the ones that does most of the Disney animations that you watch. So Disney subcontract, yes. But the truth is that, you see one guy just watches a tutorial on TV, and then the next thing he wants to go and set up something. Yes, it's fine. You can make some regular money here and there. But if we really want to change our industry, we need to understand that a secondary school boy who has a comic idea shouldn't just go and set up a company. There are many of them. I run groups. So there are many of them who just finish secondary school, and next thing they are posting, this is my comic, this is my comic, this is my comic. It's your comic where now? At that level, you need to go and work for somebody. You need to go and serve. You need to go and, add your skills to someone. Not because there's this statement that goes that you don't go and build someone else's dreams. You have to go and, don't pursue other people's dreams, pursue your own dream. See, the truth is that I've been doing this for over 20 years. And let me tell you the truth, there are some dreams you cannot achieve alone. Believe it or not, there are some dreams you can never achieve alone. So if you say you do not want to help others to achieve their dream, it shows that nobody will come and help you achieve your own dream.
That's true.
Okay? So one of the things, the problem is our skill sets. I meet people, they say, look, we can do animation. The truth is they can't do animation because they don't even know what it means to do the kind of animation we do here at Spoof. You need people, you need numbers, you need skill sets. Okay, so it's not just about you saying you want to just go and collect a Disney job. You can't collect a Disney job. Disney won't give you any job if they don't see at least 200 people in your studio and they are sure that you can deliver at a particular time. And for you to deliver at Disney time, you need people to deliver at that time. And that is why a lot of foreign exchange has not been coming to this country because we don't have the human capacity. Currently, there's a project I'm pursuing, and it's looking like I might lose the project. Why? Because I don't have enough numbers in my studio. Do you know where they are going? They're going to India. Why are they going to India? Because India will finish it in 6 months, and it's ready. Who doesn't want to finish his project in 6 months? Everybody does. So money is skill set. Because most times we say it's money, but it's not really money. Because what if you get an investor that gives that 50 million? Do you have the skill set to do that job? Because it's not just about you having money in your account. If you have money, and then you still have to go to Fiverr. You still have to go to Fiverr to not look for one Spanish person or one Indian person to still do the work for you. It's not a full Nigerian project. Okay, so money and skill set, and that's why next year we are setting up the Spoof Academy. The Spoof Academy, we've just gotten the chairs, we've gotten the TV sets, we've gotten the infrastructure, we are developing everything, we've done everything. The academy is ready. The website is ready. Maybe I'll give you the link, or maybe not yet. I won't give you the link yet. We're ready. We'll post the link. No, but it's ready. We'll be running a promo in December. And let me also mention this, that we'll be giving scholarships for 5 people. Okay, 5 people who can prove to me that they are the best choice and that they can afford it, and they are the best choice to actually take up this offer. So money, right. to answer our question, money and skill sets are the major problems facing this industry.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Folu, Akin, Yele, if you have any investors that you want to bring into the industry, because you asked a question, we would hook you up with Mr. Ayodele Elekba. Because the reason is that I know that a lot of comic studios are doing a lot. They are really doing a lot. I mean, I follow Spoof Animation personally, and I see some great things they do. I think earlier this year, yourself and your team traveled for 1 or 2 projects and all that. So you guys are really putting Nigeria on the global map, and we really appreciate you for that. So I'm going to ask you a question from the group right now. Then I'm going to ask you one more personal question, so we don't take too much of your time. Then I'll find out if there's any other question that we have. Then we'll just round up this session. So thank you so much for coming around. Now, someone is asking a question that I know you answered earlier, but it's just, you can just recap it and also to buttress on the point. It says, why can't we tell Why can't we tell a story about our culture? You know, you made reference to it earlier. So, Jolayemi, I'm sure it's a response to your question, your statement that why can't we tell a story in our culture?
Okay, my answer is this. Who is going to buy your story in your culture? That's the answer. Who's going to buy your story in your culture? Because when we say culture, what we are talking about is our culture that I think is our culture that we are all talking about is we're talking about some certain ways that we do things, okay? Some certain ways that we do things.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong about the culture thing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong. But let me say this. Do you know that our culture is not actually the culture that many of us talk about these days? Yes. Let me shock you. I don't want to exaggerate, but 80% of most families, they don't actually speak their native language at home with their kids. Most of them don't actually practice this culture. Many of them, their sons don't actually prostrate for them, which is the Yoruba culture. And their daughters don't actually kneel down for them, which is our, Yoruba culture as well for the girls. Why do you do that? Because we are embracing the world is becoming global, and the culture we talk about is becoming so globalized. Okay, so but there's no problem doing a comic or animation about culture, but culture is not what is selling. It is storytelling that is selling. If your story is good and is based on that culture, for example, there's an animation concept that I had like 4 years ago, and I've not been able to do it until now. Okay, and the story is based in Ile-Ife. And what we are thinking of is we're going to be seeing the Ooni of Ife to endorse the animation and give us all those stuff. That is a cultural stuff. But listen, I'm not going to make that animation without partnering with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Do you understand? Because if I do that stuff and I don't have people on the other side that's going to pay for that stuff or pay to watch it, then I'm in trouble. Okay, so we need to find a way of balance culture and our story, the story that we want to tell. And that's what Americans and the Western people do a lot. They're able to balance, they're able to lose you in the cinema without you thinking about culture. How many of us go into cinema and think that this person is selling culture to us? No, it doesn't even come to our mind. It's a subliminal message, okay? It's a subliminal message that you put into your story where people see that, okay, this is the culture that is prevalent in this film. And because we are trying to tell stories globally, you don't just want to create a comic book or a film that can only be watched by Nigerians. I was in Brazil recently, and I realized that we have Yoruba people in Brazil. A lot of Yoruba people are in Brazil. Do you understand? So if that is your niche market, you want to sell to those small niche markets, then fine, you can go for it. You can go culture, but you need to define what culture actually means to you. Is it us tying wrapper and wearing this thing, or like I'm wearing t-shirt today? I'm not wearing Ankara. I'm wearing this. I'm not wearing Ashofi. I'm wearing t-shirts. If that's the culture you're talking about, are you saying everybody in your movie is going to be wearing beads or wearing necklaces and wearing cowries all over them? Then you need to be able to define what exactly you mean by culture, because our culture has actually shifted, especially for those who are living in metropolitan Lagos or living in developed cities like Lagos, Abuja. The culture thing is quite it's debatable.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate all the insights that you are giving us. I'm going to be asking, so the next set of questions are towards the Spoof Academy. So Okpeoluwa Olatunde is asking that the academy, would it be physical or virtual?
It will be physical.
All right.
And we are taking just 10 students.